Hi everyone, welcome to the webinar and thank you so much for joining us today. Just to go through some introductions, on the webinar we have myself, Ginta. I am a business development manager for document management at Northamber. We also have my colleague Martin Payne, who is our product manager at Northamber. We both work very closely with the software solution vendors like Process Fusion, and that's why we're here today. On the call, we also have Patrick Johnson from Process Fusion themselves, who kindly agreed to walk us through the digital journey that Process Fusion offer. I have been working with Process Fusion for over 6 months now, and I've actually been truly amazed by the features and scalability of the document management software, especially their cloud platform. Pat, over to you.
Yep. Okay. Thanks, Ginta. So, the purpose of today really is to take us through a session where we can look at both capture and print solutions that we have here at Process Fusion. Whilst there may be partners, customers on the meeting today, this is a fairly open process to sort of give you an insight and overview into the applications that we have available that's meeting both the print management market and the capture, in particular that of intelligent capture with the document processing. So we're covering both of these application areas within the webinar here. Again, thanks for joining us today. And here's our team that is behind us, and essentially with global coverage, you'll see we've got quite a large presence globally. We have a very large team. The team you see on screen is our Canada team. We go broader than that, of course, because we have locations in India, UK, US, head office Canada. And we have a very large population of both customers and those using our cloud processing. Company's been in business now for in excess of 20 plus years. And the backdrop to the company essentially has been around the print management on one part and the capture process on another. And the two parts of the company rejoined forces about 2 years ago, where there was insight into the growth of an innovation of bringing both capture and print together. So the print aspect that we cover includes areas around virtualization and printing, Citrix and VM. And that's been a very dominant area on the Uniprint side, which has been supported by a virtual print driver and our patented PDF capability to drive print, if you like, across low bandwidth in environments. And that in itself reaches into the cloud. And now with our cloud solutions, we can make great use of the capability of our technology in that respect as well. And we are seeing this growth in the cloud print, capture market, and print somewhat has been hit by the pandemic. Although there is some revival in print, but there is a new area of print where it's now seeing to be more distributive as against some of the central process of printing. But in terms of central processing printing, the changes in office space and access to office, which is now being a little bit more limited in its use and the way that people control access to office, also means that there is this hybrid office work, home location printing and capture application requirement. So this is really, if the words were the right ones, a new way of working. The way that people will look at this process of using these applications going forward. This was underpinned by a report that we are connected to with Quocirca. Luella Fernandez, who is the director of Quocirca, reported on our Process Fusion events, and she also does podcasts. And you'll see her a lot on LinkedIn reporting on the state of the market. And she's extending the print and hybrid discussions from both print environment to include areas of the capture market as well, as this change and challenge in the market becomes more affected. So what we're seeing, and this is the report from Luella, she highlighted that the hybrid workplace is something that is now becoming the way forward, and that people will be returning to the office, but on a very touch point basis where only a few people will be in any particular time and so forth. but there are new challenges to the way that people might want to provide print, and these cut across the IT aspects, security, cost implications, and at the same time, we're trying to reduce cost for customers in terms of the usage of print servers and moving their environment into cloud. So this is what we're doing really here in terms of enabling this hybrid workplace environment that Luella mentions in her research. And you can see this shift, this pattern of moving things into these different environments. And a lot of companies have a foot in different aspects of whether they are all in cloud, whether they are in hybrid, or some still remain on premise. And so we have to address these different aspects of the ways that people are changing in their work environment, as well as remaining in some of their workspace environments. So it's not a one size fit all approach. So in terms of software solutions, we now have to be sure that people who are moving to cloud, staying on premise, have the ability to have an agile solution. Also, the range of hardware that associates to different companies on acquisitions that we're seeing a lot more and consolidations. And you need to be very agile when you look at print management solutions that are able to cover such a large variation of activity. And you'll see that whilst organizations and IT infrastructures are changing, there's quite a high percentage where IT are taking a close look at their current environment, both to make it manageable, make it simpler, and to make it secure. So this is what we do at Process Fusion. We provide this cloud-based printing, intelligent capture, and you can see on our 5 articles there on the screen. If I start in the middle, just to give a view of our Uniprint Infinity Cloud, you'll see a little clip of this later on one of our slides that refer to using our application that is completely cloud-based. So it's a true cloud environment, allows us to manage the printers and print drivers. I mentioned our PDF patent, and that comes into play when we're utilizing cloud-based applications to ensure that we encrypt and compress documents and then distribute to endpoint printers. The cloud solution here is something that you can access, try this out before any commitments, and it's a very simple deployment process for small, medium, and large type organizations. To the left of that, you'll see we've got the Infinity Suite. Uniprint Infinity Suite has been a flagship product for many years, and this has stood the test of time. It's developed and into a very well featured process of mapping applications or mapping print drivers to locations. And this makes best use of the bandwidth that you have available. And as you address larger and larger organizations that have virtual environments and data centers, then we are in a conversation with Infinity Suite that best suits their particular requirement. So as I mentioned earlier, we're both in cloud, we're on-prem, and we can have a hybrid instance of those two type applications. And also bearing in mind virtualization that's growing up out there, that you need the flexibility of virtualized print capability. Then over on the left side, and I won't spend too much time on this, but we have healthcare printing suite. We have a lot of customers in the healthcare environment. And with that comes new challenges and different challenges that we see in healthcare, where people are moving from different departments. They have different equipment. They have armband printing, prescription printing, a very diverse range of print capabilities that are required, including very much the resilience and high availability, which in itself is an important aspect to ensure that there is zero downtime and that print can be maintained across all healthcare environments. So this is something that people rely on with Uniprint and our print management offerings. To the right side of the screen, you'll see our capture being mentioned. Before I mention that, we have touchless printing, which is where we have our mobile app, and we can utilize our mobile app. It's known as Clovia. It can be downloaded for iOS and for Android. And the app itself allows us to be able to select and print both in an office location, in a home location, and we can use various tools like QR code printing and iBeacon printing, etc. We are moving closer to capture as well, so we have the ability to utilize our mobile phone app in the area of authentication and capture. And as we look to the capture side, we have a number of capture point applications, of which the high end of this, the more sophisticated end, is the intelligent capture and document process. And in here, we have the ability to capture and extract information, OCR, plus keyword lookups, 2- and 3-way matching. And this can apply both to accounts payable and to other type of document capture processes. So we have a very wide and capable two capture and print management suites available. So the transformation is where people are moving, and this, as I mentioned, is moving this hybrid cloud and on-premise and mobile. And you can see from our discussion there, previous slide, is that we're able to touch on areas to help support customers that have any particular requirements within any of these aspects. So if you're in this process right now and you want to know where you are and you need to assess your current state and look at how you move and which is the best process, both for a business requirement, a cost environment, and any of those decision processes, then we will be able to look at that and help consult with you to what we can do to help with your transformation. One of the things in that transformation is when you move to working from home and office. And already there's quite some disparate areas that customers have right now where they've been focused with the two office locations. Some moved very well during the pandemic to be able to facilitate this home office environment. Others struggled a little bit. Some just put printers in everywhere and handed out laptops and so forth. So it became quite a mad dash of provision to try and support their teams to maintain office operations. Others seem to take a little bit more easier ride on it, where they were able to navigate across all these locations, extend their licenses in order to keep operations moving. Obviously, the trend here is to keep as much administration practice and everyone operational at back office, and then that supports the frontline processes as well. So with our set of solutions and applications here, apart from Cloud Print and our ability to hook into the new Microsoft virtual print drivers for Chromebook, then we can touch on quite a large range of market sectors and applications. This is a view of our Cloud Print window, our dashboard, and you can see here at a glance that it's a very simple menu and how we can set up the control of print drivers. We have a mapping capability here to map the users to their appropriate print and office. We have a very simple picture diagram that we can upload and hold as against the printers where they are mapped to. And this allows for a much easier and flexible access to your printer and give you control of where you print in terms of location. And we can set that up with secure printing and user management. So if you're on Active Directory, for example, then you can utilize your AD credentials in order to access the print solution as well. And all this works in conjunction with our mobile app for that secure print release. You'll see here also there's mention of statistics and archiving. So we keep reports and audits so that you can identify who's printed to what and where. And that covers you from both locations in office and at home. So if you transitioned your users across that large space, then you would still be able to have some control and understanding of print volume and usage. We do have the opportunity to provide you with a link. With Northamber can do that in order to give you a trial period, and that will give you access to this location in order to be able to touch it and try it out for a period of time. We move on to looking at the capture side and the type of documents, and clearly across the board there are many documents that have information on it that is relevant for the way that you may want to store it. And we've seen quite a few applications recently that accounts payable, perhaps the most intensive paper document process that is being looked at right now. But there's lots of other forms in HR and insurance and financial aspects which and property which are coming into a process which need to be identified, extracted information. Some of that may even include some handwritten information, name and numbers and phone numbers, which can equally be processed in our capture point application. You'll see here we've got receipts, statements, invoices. Again, all of these applications can be part of the document process. So we'll hear a bit more in just a moment how we can capture so many different ranges of document types using the capability of capture point and its profiling aspects. So here is really an important stage where you look at the paper process that you currently have. And if you are looking to streamline that business process, that paper set of documents, first stage, of course, is to take a look at the way that you use paper. And it has been said there's good and bad paper. Good paper is relevant and needs to be filed and kept. Bad paper means you're printing things you don't really need, and maybe that should have been selected and it could be routed to be held in capture. Now, we do have an application that sends our print straight to the capture application as well. And some of the things people look for in here, of course, is the bandwidth of and volume of documents that are being moved around, stored, shared. Both paper documents and digital documents take space. So you want to make sure that you have the right solution in the right place with the right capture applications. So that means a good conversation in order to identify how we can process the documents as well as where you may store them and how you capture them. We'll talk a bit more about that as we move on. So as we look at the an illustration of our accounts payable, we'll take that one first. You'll see that what happens here is the document will come in. It goes into a particular folder where it's received, and that can be received in multiple ways. It could be by fax, by email, it could be by paper. But once the document comes into our system, we then have on the left side an index, which the process is automated to identify the information of the invoice, whether that be the invoice number, the purchase order, the date, etc. And then that is added to the index on the left-hand side. We can also do the two-way, three-way matching, which I mentioned. So if there's a supplier information that's available on the system, then we can attach to that and we can then do a lookup to see if this invoice has a match. And if there is a match, then we can identify the two components in order to process the invoice through to the back-end system. You can see we can also pull out line items. And with this, you could have multiple pages. There's an illustration on the right side here. And in the accounts payable, then you'll find that we're very competitive in terms of pricing when it comes to picking up multiple paged invoices, because we tend to look at one invoice as a set of documents, and that becomes one invoice process. The information that's passed on the left-hand side, you can see as we gather that there is a couple of little green indicators, and these will show the success in the information that's being collected. So when it recognizes that the document match is good, then you get a red light. If there is anything that needs to be attended to by a clerk or approver, they would be able to log into our capture point application here separately with the different permissions, and it could be viewed by them in order to complete the transaction process, either by either by making it correct, by correcting it, or by processing it that it has to go back and be reattended or represented. We can also pick up duplicates. So error processing is another good feature of accounts payable. And what we don't want to do is go paying out the invoice twice. So our capture point accounts payable solution enables a lot of the benefits of not only improving the speed and processing of that intensive paper process, but also to help with timely payments and approvals and ensuring that more accurate information is being kept. Now, there is an offer again to be able to access this on our capturepoint.net website. And you simply go to the top right corner on that webpage and you can sign in and you can try our basic accounts payable application as a startup on a free trial. Once you've gained that little bit of experience and you see how that works, then you can contact us, contact Northamber here in order to be able to take that another step and do a more detailed review on the applications you want to address. So under the accounts for payable, clearly the just to emphasize perhaps the real benefits behind tidying up a process, an approval process. Once you've started looking at the current situation and you see that you are either having to increase the team to process each of these documents, or you find that the volume of these documents are increasing, looking for more efficient ways to process this is a key factor. And you'll see a lot of this actually in the market today, trying to address an accounts payable type application. There's clearly a lot of benefits in increasing the rate at which you can improve, but by automating it with accounts payable, it simply makes the whole job a lot easier. And there's a real return on investment in a very short time by implementing an accounts payable type solution. Let's take a closer look at that, the workings of this capture point solution. So it really splits into three parts. We have the input file intake side on the left, the process which capture point looks at, which is the engine that deals with the extraction, the OCR, the machine learning, the classification. All of that is built into our cloud capture point application. It then can pass that out to a back-end system. Whilst it's in there being processed, as you see, we can have different approvers. Some may have different access levels to sign off, and then there's a clerk who can have an overview view. There's administration access as well. And then at the back end, it passed out to a particular document management system. That could be Dynamics, it could be a Microsoft application, SharePoint, for example. Another application that sits around this is document processes for digital mail, for example. Again, any document that's coming in, if it's got information on it and you want to assign it by working it through from left to right here, then as that document has, I suppose, information that's relevant for storage, then you could utilize that to extract information. In amongst that process, if that document it's not clean, it's not clear, it's not come in straight, our capture point does all the tidy up, clean up in that part of the process. It can even deal with some very scruffy looking documents when it looks to clean it up. And if bits are missing off the document, then it can use its capability to look at other aspects of the document to see if it can do a 2 or 3-way match. And if it finds the right information, then it can make an assignment for that document in order to process it through the system. If at any point there is anything it isn't 100% ready to pass on, then it will push it into a folder for an approver or a clerk to attend to. So the underlying part of all of this with both print and capture is security and compliance. And Process Fusion has put a lot of investment into each of these aspects across SOC 2 Type 2 compliancy and addressing ISO 27001. All of these compliances are very important when it comes to working in cloud and in virtual environments and on-prem, so that documents are kept secure and safe, and that the process as well is part of that security. We work with all sorts of secure print environments, and you'll see with Imprivato, with Epic, Citrix, VMware are also part of the partnership agreements we have, and we work very closely with each of these organizations in order to provide this print capability and now address capture applications. So the next steps from here is whether you would want to book a meeting, have a consultation with our technical people. We can set up relevant calls together, and we can help provide and provision some proof of concept, an experience or trial of our solutions.